Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Ernst Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. The Ventures Bowl is between South Alabama and Eastern Michigan. Both of these teams are 6-6, but the odds makers, they have South Alabama favored by around 16 to 17 points, and the FBI predictor thinks that South Alabama is going to be favored by over 80%. Do me and WillND think that this game is going to be as big of a blowout? Because when you look at both team stats, all the players for South Alabama have better stats. Their top wide receiver, Lacey, though, he's not going to play in this game, but they've got a lot of other weapons on the outside. And when you look at both team schedules, Kane Wommack's team, they did not have as good of a year as they had last year. They started out with a loss to Tulane, but they got the win over Oklahoma State. If they were not able to knock off Oklahoma State, then they would not be in this bowl game right now because they would be 5-7. So that was huge for them. But Oklahoma State was struggling at the beginning of the year. Then they lost to Central Michigan. That's a bad loss. Lost to James Madison. That's fine because they had a good year. Then they beat Louisiana Monroe and Southern Miss. Both those teams weren't that great. Then they lost to Louisiana Lafayette and Troy, beat Arkansas State and Marshall, and then they lost to Texas State. So South Alabama had an up and down year. They didn't really beat anybody too notable in their conference, and their best win by far was against Oklahoma State. Then over on the Eastern Michigan side, Chris Creighton squad, they did not really get a big win. They beat Howard and UMass in the non-conference. Both those teams were abysmal. They lost to Minnesota and Jacksonville State, and they also lost to Central Michigan, just like South Alabama did, so that's kind of ironic. Then they were able to knock off Ball State and Kent State. Both those teams were toward the bottom of the map. Then they lost to Northern Illinois and Western Michigan. Neither team was that great. Then they lost to Toledo, which was expected, and then they were able to knock off Akron and Buffalo at the end of the year, but Akron did not have a good season. They barely won that game. So definitely South Alabama, yes, they were up and down, but they look more consistent than Eastern Michigan. They also had a signature win over Oklahoma State. Eastern Michigan does not have a signature win. Me and WillND, we break down whether we think that the MAC can get an upset win. And Eastern Michigan, despite being a heavy underdog, can they knock off South Alabama and Chris Creighton can get his squad to 7 wins this year? Or do we believe that South Alabama, they're going to play well in this game, win this game just like the odds makers say, and Kane Wommack's team, even though they did not have as good of a year as they had last year, they'll redeem themselves and get their 7th win of the year in the Ventures Bowl by knocking off Eastern Michigan. Is this a new bowl game? The Ventures Bowl?
I think it was the Dollar General Bowl.
Dollar General stopped their sponsorship? Man, they're building locations everywhere. You'd think they still have a sponsorship. Dollar General. I remember that. So now it's the Ventures Bowl. These sponsors are changing year to year. I mean, it's insane.
South Alabama, 16-point favorite.
16-point favorite? Is that legit?
That's what it says on ESPN.
Whoa. It is. The opt-outs pace is 15.5. So 15.5, 16-point spread. Either way you go. How are they favored by that much again? Let's look at the odds. And maybe Eastern Michigan, only 2 guys, a lineman and a D lineman. Offensive lineman, defensive lineman. South Alabama got a receiver and a linebacker. Receiver/QB. I like how they got that on there. So I know the MAC's not good, but how is Eastern Michigan that big of an underdog? That is a massive underdog. Let's see what the FBI predictor has. They give South Alabama an 83% chance to win, and they only give Eastern Michigan a 16% chance to win.
Yeah,
So
none of the teams that
definitely
Eastern
just be on the
Michigan
same
beat
side.
are going to a bowl.
So basically, they beat the bad teams of the MAC. They beat all terrible opponents.
Yeah, and they beat UMass and Howard.
Ooh. Yeah, look at their quarterback play. 1,700 yards, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks. Their top running back only ran for 635 yards, whereas South Alabama's ran for 1,000 yards. You see 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. And their top receiver, 1,300 yards. But I did notice the name, though. Their top receiver, 1,300 yards, that's the guy in the portal, Lacey. You go back to here, it's Lacey. So their top receiver's not playing. That's tough. But I'm sure because their quarterback threw for over 2,600 yards and he only had half of them, they probably have other good receivers. Eastern Michigan, you just tell offensively they're not that good of a team. If their leading receiver only has 479 yards, that's not good. So, and like you said, Eastern Michigan did not beat anybody that was that great. The MAC's not very good. South Alabama, they were up and down. They had some bad performances this year, but since their quarterback's playing, Kane Wommack's still the coach. He didn't get poached for another job. I'll go with South Alabama to win 28-14.
Yeah, I'll go 34-13. South Alabama.
Yeah, if Eastern Michigan beat South Alabama, that would definitely be a bad lost. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below what you think about the 2023 Ventures Bowl and whether you believe that South Alabama or Eastern Michigan will win and why, and what you think about me and WillND's pick for the 2023 Venture Bowl. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.